Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This week, we're in the Great Lakes region for race number 7. It's been a great season so far, but live from the virtual Michigan International Raceway, it's the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series. Presented by Adam & Box, Rapid Fire Pizza, and Aspiration Homes. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. Alongside me, well, I think all season long at this point, Alexander Gagnon. You've seen these guys squaring off. We got a few new names in the series now. Some guys that we haven't mentioned yet. We've also got the familiar names, the shakeup and the points. Let's talk a little bit about it, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. 6 races complete so far. 5 different winners to this point. Ellison, Carrington, Mullins, Sturgill, and Giroux. It has been a pretty good balance up at the front of the field, but you can clearly see on the points there, Gabe Ellison, Casey Carrington, the big 2, but a great run last week for Dylan Rosenberg. Has him in a pretty close 3rd spot here, and then things really start to spread out further on back. So prime opportunity to try and get yourself into a winning position here tonight. Michigan, one of those tracks, not necessarily a wild card, but if you are a good drafter, a lot of those skills will come into effect here tonight.
So for Gabriel Ellison, he's had kind of a string of good races. Casey Carrington also in that string of, top 10s. I believe it was somewhere around 6 now to keep that string alive. So, it's tight up here. It's very competitive, and the racing continues on as we go this 2-mile oval. Located in Brooklyn, Michigan, opened back October 13th, 1968, in a time when super speedways were coming on. This track has the characteristics of tracks like Daytona and Talladega, but it also has less banking, so these drivers are going to have to slow down a little bit, especially with all the power we have in this Gen 4 car.
Yeah, and that creates a really unique style of racing here at Michigan, where this is arguably the fastest track on the series because it's big enough to support high speeds. But with no restrictor plate, these guys can run full open into the corner. I would expect to see a lot of cars exceeding 200 miles an hour tonight.
Race analysis coming up on your screen as well, and it's similar to what we saw last week. As long as this information I gathered is accurate, 90 laps, and that pit road speed limit actually will be at 55 miles per hour. Would like to thank TikTok for sending me a notification when my phone should be on silent, so let's get that fixed. But 100% fuel, stage lap at 45, and unlike other leagues, we run the stage. We continue to go green if there's no caution. We will cycle on around this racetrack.
Yeah, and that, I think, has created a very unique blend of racing here where it does not mess up the strategy to go out there and hit that stage break. but it still incentivizes running hard through the middle part of the race. And I think it's a really good balance between the two.
And so stage points are, awarded to these drivers, and they can make and break a season, especially if you're outside that top 10 consistently for every week. You could come out here with a victory, but if another driver goes out there and claims all the stages, you're going to be really tight in the points with that battle. And all it takes is one off week of missing a stage or missing a top 10, and your season could be over with. Schedule. Well, we take a look here at Michigan. We're going to go to Richmond next week on September 24th, and then it's on to Nashville. So starting out in October, we're going to go to the Music City, and then it's into Kansas and Bristol, Talladega, Darlington, Watkins Glen, and Texas to end out our regular season. 5-race chase begins November 19th, and we go on all the way to December 17th, just before the holiday vacation. And I know everybody will be traveling, so stick around. We've got a lot of racing left to be done here, and the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series is getting set to start race number 7. So let's take you trackside now. Get that grid up on your screen, starting on the pole here tonight with a beautiful lap time of 38.110, picking up right where you left off. Michael Sturgill starting in first. Gabe Ellison, your points leader, he'll start to his outside with 8 1/1000ths of a second separating these two cars. Row number 2 goes to Stephen Miles with Curtis White and the 63. And then row number 3 goes to Sheldon Atkins. Craig Martin in the 22 will start in 6th. Josh Taylor and John Osborne will start 7th and 8th. And then it's Casey Carrington in the 43. Jordan Owens, a new name that we haven't mentioned yet, starting in 10th.
Yeah, a couple new faces in the series tonight, but here's a couple of familiar ones. Clinton Sneed and Michael Garone comprise row 6. In row 7, it's the 11 of Thomas Stokes and the 91 of Dylan Rosenberg, up to 3rd in the points now for him. Row 8, Daniel Giroux, the winner from Daytona, and Jose Ruiz to his outside. Row 9 is the 55 of Jeff No, Tim Bruce to his outside in the 411. And in row 10, it's Chris Waddle in the 15 and Kyle Shelton in the 77.
Still waiting on a couple cars to grid, and one of those cars is Cade Sullivan. He will round out your 21-car field here today from the foothills of Michigan. I say foothills. There's sandbars. There's kind of, the northern Great Lakes region is just, it's hills. It's every type of terrain that you could think of. They've got sand. They've got clay. They've got rocks. It's just a variety of different things here. But breaking ground on this speedway back in the early 60s, they encountered a variety of all of that. In fact, they had to build this racetrack up a little bit here on the front stretch because of that sandy terrain. And so here in Michigan, kind of a construction problem, I guess you could say, to try to get this place leveled out. And over the course of the front stretch, did you know they had to equate for the curvature of the earth for how long those grandstands are?
Honestly, truly baffling level of infrastructure here. And, I feel like some of the most unique tracks in all of racing are the ones that are built out of necessity on the geography around them. Because you think of tracks that had Mother Nature play a big part into how they were formed. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind is Darlington, with its unique shape due to the lake that was off in turn 1. And then, you come to a place like Michigan with the terrain forcing everyone kind of up on that really banked front straightaway. And it really does create some unique places that, if everything was perfect, honestly, I think the tracks would be far more boring. But because they had to work around things, you get a lot of really unique layouts.
Yeah, and you can kind of see how the science now, not to bash Atlanta, but I'm going to use it as the example when you start getting really technical. You kind of can ruin things. You can do too much. So sometimes it's good to have a unique setup, a unique surface. And I love these old weathered asphalt surfaces the most. And right next to the concrete Monster Mile at Dover, those are some of my favorite places to go to. But my favorite place to watch Well, it's on your screen right here. Race number 7 about to be underway. Michael Sturgill is going to be the command car. He will lead them into turn 1 as the iRacing pace car pulls down. Let's get set to go underway. 90 laps. Restart zone. Green flag is out. The Challenge Series is underway. Problems already. Thomas Stokes, Clinton Sneed have heavy damage on the right sides of their cars. We'll have to take it back on the V-Speed Instant Replay to figure out what happened to these two, but coming around to lead lap number 1, it will be Michael Sturgill in the number 3. Let's back it up on the replay.
Jump on board here with the 11. Thomas Stokes, that green Mike and Ike's car to the inside, and already they're getting checked up 3-4 wide here. You see Stokes actually get under Sneed as it's a 4 wide battle off the corner. Sneed, a little bit of net code with the car above him, gets launched down directly into the 11, and both of them heavy damage.
One more time here from the blimp camera. That was the 20 of Jordan Owens on the outside. A little touch there. Bounces off the 11, who's able to save it, but Sneed bounces the outside wall. And so the right side probably knocks out the toe a little bit. He's going to come out of pit road now, 1 lap down. Trying to get that car back up to speed. This track's so aero dependent. You can see it right here in the top 5, how they're all kind of following each other around this place. If you're not able to do that, you'll very quickly lose ground and end up, you know, at the tail end, the bottom of the barrel at this track.
Yeah, you see things getting really stacked up here behind Gabe Ellison, the 111 of Stephen Miles directly on his back bumper. Craig Martin not too far behind them. This is the first start of the season, I believe, for the 111 machine. Put together a really good qualifying run here today. He's going to try and find his way around the current points leader into turn 3. And the yellow is out.
Curtis White down the backstretch. Big wreck here for the 63.
Big time incident. A lot of damage on the nose of that car. So no caution flag flew for the incident on lap 1, but here on lap 4 certainly did.
Old Spice Swagger machine is going to go for a ride here down the backstretch. Let's go on board. Across his nose was the 22, and heavy impact to the inside wall. Nowhere to go.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that from outside the car. It looked like the 22 just came down on top of him. They were side by side in the corner. Let's see how they get this sorted out.
He gets loose.
Oh, the 22, big time loose. As the 63 was working his way back up the track, the 22 was diving down to catch the car and was met in the middle.
He's on board with Craig Martin. So there's that little hump there in the transition of the exit of 2. That's what set that car over the edge.
Yeah, and you could see how far to the right he had that steering wheel trying to catch it. And it still was making its way down the track. That's just how out of sorts the 22 was there.
That'll set us up for a little bit of strategy as well. You have Jordan Owens, Tim Bruce, Jose Ruiz, and a few others coming down. Jeff No as well. So I'd say, you know, a lot of these guys that are outside the top 10, well, they're not really standing to lose anything. Might as well come in, top off with Sunoco race fuel. Stretch this run out, maybe, you know, 3 or 4 more laps than the leaders can. You might get a lucky caution, or you could get yourself into a situation where if we get a lot more yellows, you don't have to pit anymore. So topping off of fuel, I like this call.
Yeah, it's going to put them in a bit of a better spot here in the long run. And you don't really lose a ton of track position, as there was a lot of cars deeper in the field already who came down pit road. And even so, with only a 21 car field tonight, if you have the ability on both tires and fuel to try and work your way through the field a bit, that advantage, I think, will be really helpful as this run goes on. It is still just under 40 laps to where the stage would be, so plenty of time to put those slightly fresher tires and slightly larger fuel window into effect.
So this does give us an opportunity to pull a driver up here. What do you say we pull the only driver that I think bookmarked the camera link? Pull Michael Sturgill up here in the booth. Hey,
Hello.
Michael, it's Bradley Cooper and Alex Gagnon. I take it you can hear us.
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, you might be the only guy that saved that driver cam link. I see you in here every time, so might as well show it off here while we got you. Good start to this race so far. A lot better than last week. I know it started out rough for you, but this one, I've seen you pull away at this place. What does it take to do that?
Just getting out and getting clean air. Trying to control the lanes a little bit and keep them side by side also helps. That way you can pull away from them a little bit.
Bet it also helps having another teammate there on the outside. You guys have kind of been running up front together. Does it bother you that you're always competing with the 27 for this lead spot?
No, not really. I'd rather compete with a teammate for it than someone else. We have raced around each other a ton, and so I know how he races, and I know I don't have to worry about getting, wrecked or anything.
I just want you to check your mirror. Casey Carrington is up to 4th. He's up 5 spots. So just think about that while we get set to go back green.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right. Sturgill, while we got you, anybody you want to shout out before we go back?
Just Clem for putting this thing on, my teammates and everyone watching, and you guys for putting on a great broadcast. I think that's Gouter.
All right. Appreciate your time, Michael.
Thank you.
Michael Sturgill in the 3. I think we caught him mid-conversation there, Alex. They might have been communicating some strategy, huh?
They might have been, and we'll see if he gets the launch he's looking for on this restart, because don't know if he had time to fully flesh out that plan with the 27 before we had the chat with him, so we'll see how this works out here on the restart, but the same front row from the start of the race going to lead him to the green here.
Second time today, that green flag is going to wave. We're back live in racing. Already a good jump here as they go into turn 1. Looks like Sturgill did get that restart sorted out. And it looks like Stephen Miles in the 111 is going to line up into the 3rd spot. Casey Carrington got pinned down there on the bottom somehow. And the 81 of Sheldon Atkins is going to get the run for 4th.
If I'm not mistaken, a new look tonight for Sheldon Atkins in the 81. And so far leading to some good successes. He's looking to wheel around the outside of Miles here for 3rd. A great run on the high side for the 81. He's got a nose to the outside door as they make their way down the front straightaway.
Just not able to clear the 111 right there. He did get clear of the 43, so he was able to kind of run that exit on 4, but getting pinned up there on the outside, you got to make quick work of that. It is faster up there, but it will burn these tires off, and it's notorious here at Michigan with the older asphalt surface that you can chew the right front off of this thing very easily. It's one of the tracks that's deceitfully fast for the first 10 to 15 laps, and this thing just slams into a brick wall.
Well, Atkins making the most of it so far. He's worked his way into P3 around Carrington here, separating 1st and 2nd in the points now as you see Ellison just ahead of them, running in P2 still. Carrington going to dive back to the inside, but a strong drive into the corner from the 81, and the caution's out for the 2nd time tonight.
Stokes
Oh
is
boy,
around.
look at what happened.
Bruce is around.
Heavy damage for both of them. Stokes is missing his hood. The Cinnamon Toast Crunch machine looks like it just got crunched up into the wall.
Mike and Ike 11 missing the entire front hood and part of that nose clip. Let's take it back on the instant replay and see if we can figure out what happened here. Now they're racing side by side here. You got pretty much 3 wide there on the exit of 4. Bruce across the nose of his teammate and up onto the catch fence.
What a wild ride for Tim Bruce. Trying to figure out who he got tangled up with there. That corn pops machine. I'm trying to see what number that was.
I believe that's the 33 of Cade Sullivan.
That it is. 33 of Cade Sullivan. Right in the middle of all that, and I think the 411 thought he was clear, but he just wasn't quite yet. And what a wild ride for Bruce here. Hard into the outside wall, upside down into the catch fence, and then landing back on top of Thomas Stokes' car.
No on board here.
And if you get nauseous easily, I would close your eyes for about the next 15 seconds. Oh my goodness.
And how do you feel if you're the 11? A car just lands in your lap. You don't even know that that's happening until you're in the wall. On board here. This was on board with Stokes. Yeah, you don't even know it's happening.
Yeah, 1 second you're driving on the outside of 3 wide. The next moment there is a car on top of you. Terrifying stuff. On board here with Craig Martin a little deeper in the field. Watching that unfold. Gets down and away from it. Barely avoids the 11 of Stokes.
That brings out our second caution of the night. 12 laps into this race, already playing some strategies, trying to top off with fuel. You had a few more takers come in and do so. So we kind of flip-flop the field again. Top 6 have stayed out. Kyle Shelton at the tail end of this, 12 laps on this stint. Then you have Jeff No, who did come in and top off with fuel in the caution prior. He's worked his way up to the 5th position here for this restart. So, gave up a little bit of field position, started back around 16th position to get back up here in that short amount of time. That kind of proves to me that the 55, even though he's playing strategy, is definitely fast.
Yeah, a lot of speed so far tonight for the 55 of Jeff No. I think he's in a really interesting position here with the way this race has started. Now we're going to cycle up toward the front. Slightly older tires than those behind, but a few cars ahead of him who he has fresher tires than still, so it'll be a matter of how cleanly he can launch on this restart and try and make up some ground before those behind him try and do the same.
And you can hear some clutching here. It's a strategy without pit road as well. When you're under these caution laps, drivers will shut the car off entirely just to save that extra tenth of fuel while we pace around this place. 2 miles. It's taken a solid 2 minutes to go around this place at this speed, and so that's tons of fuel burned. Even though you might be going 60, 70 miles per hour, you're still sitting there at idle. So you're probably better off to shut this thing off.
Yeah. Little start and stop if it is that desperate of a fuel save to try and put yourself in position to make it to where the stage is before having to come down pit road.
Well, here,
already
Alex,
3 different strategies.
But think about this, Alex. We had how much strategy at the 1.5 miles, and so that was the same distance, correct? 90 laps at Charlotte, 90 laps, I believe, at Vegas, Atlanta. All of those tracks that, they came down to who could make it on one stop, and that was where we saw, I believe it was Casey Carrington, get that win. It was based solely on the fact that he was planning on making it in one stop, and other drivers got caught behind that strategy.
Yeah, but here with the extra half mile a lap, is that much taller of an order to try and save that much fuel.
We're going to see if anybody can do it. Sturgill for the 3rd time going to hit the restart zone. Command car back on the loud pedal into turn 1, lap 14 underway. Not as good of a restart here for Sturgill this time. He has company, the 27 on the bumper, wiggles into the entry of 1, wiggles up on the exit of 2, and somehow still pulls away from the 27.
Yeah, the 27 now with a mirror full of Rosenberg. The 91 going to look to the inside here of Ellison in turns 1 and 2. Or sorry, 3 and 4, as they make their way off the corner toward the front stretch. Wrong side of the track here for Rosenberg, as they try and reel in the 27 here. Josh Taylor hot on his heels as well. And the field this time, I think, starting to single file out a little bit faster than in the previous restarts. Maybe realizing that there's been a couple incidents early on. Maybe everyone trying to settle in just a little bit. But as I say, 3 wide.
Oh,
deeper in the
contact.
field. Contact. Carrington and the 77 of Shelton off of each other in turn 2.
And that was almost a replay of what we saw earlier in this race with Snead on lap 1.
Carrington, very lucky that that car was able to get saved. Very shocked that the 77 didn't get any sorts of loose there. It looked like it was still planted to the racetrack even with the contact. Now,
Well, he wants to do it again. He had his moment.
Oh, Melton sideways almost.
Yeah. I tell you, man, it's one of the tracks that's it's easy to do it. It's very easy to get 3 wide, but navigating these exits, everything closes up. You're kind of throwing. You remember those games in the mall where you threw the penny in there and it would just swirl around and eventually it would reach the bottom? That's essentially the exits of these corners. You're throwing a handful of pennies in there and you just wait for them to all collide.
And that's why you'll see a lot of the time they'll run single file through the corner unless they've got a run to make something happen, which is how we're seeing the field here. Everyone finding their own piece of real estate out there right now. And now at this point, it's really about hitting your marks, getting comfortable, getting into a good rhythm, and then trying to save some tire here to pick off the cars in front of you if they do not as good of a job saving.
So the green flag stays out here. This might be the longest run. We're approaching the longest run that we've had so far. Rocky start to this race. Michael Sturgill has maintained the lead. Gabe Ellison, he has stayed in second. But Dylan Rosenberg, how about this? 11 positions gained. He's the biggest mover up here in this race so far. Continuing the trend of, you know what? We talked about how, and maybe this was more of a post-race conversation, not necessarily on the broadcast, but we talked about how some drivers favor super speedways. And so for Rosenberg and Giroux, they did phenomenal at Daytona. But we also had the question, because we're new here, who's going to be good at all the tracks? And so for Rosenberg, he's shown he can do it pretty much anywhere. Ellison, Sturgill, I would say Carrington's also on that list. But for Giroux right now, it's kind of been a rocky race, 3 through 7. He hasn't had a stellar race yet since Daytona and getting that victory, and he's fallen down in the points because of it.
See going into turn 1 there, almost 3 wide, just ahead of the 92. Jeff No about to get swallowed up by Casey Carrington and Craig Martin. Instead, they'll be side by side off the corner. Compromised exit for the 43 drops him back. And Jeff No continues to ride on here. Not been the restart he's been looking for. He restarted up in 5th, but has really fallen back here. He's down to 9th. In danger of falling out of the top 10 here in a moment's notice if Carrington and Martin get a good run together.
So this is one of those moments, if you're Casey Carrington, you know that for every lap you have to go 2-3 wide. That's precious time being shaved off or added to with drivers up in that top 5 that haven't pitted yet. I mean, you got some fresh tires back here with Carrington and a few others. Michael Sturgill's been on the same set since lap 1, and he's almost 3 seconds ahead.
One thing I'm noticing here as we jump back to the front, Rosenberg has found his way around the 27 of Ellison. And now we'll look to try and chase down the leader here. Trying to go from 14th up the 1st. He's gotten every position he needs except the important one.
That's the first time today that the top two drivers have changed. Dylan Rosenberg, 12 positions gained now on the total. So far, been impressed with this guy. It's a new name that we haven't mentioned yet this season. He's making his debut, if I'm correct on that, Alex. Stephen Miles in the 111, currently in your top 5, and he's pretty much stayed there since the start, huh? As for the 6th position, Jordan Owens goes to the inside of Michael Garone. Garone's going to fall back 1 position, but still up 5 from where he began the race. Car looks pretty stable, though. Compared to the 1.5 miles that we were racing prior to this, car looks a lot more stable. I know that we've had a couple moments out of turn 2, but overall, it looks like these guys have a pretty good handle on what's going on.
Yeah, now that they've had a few laps at race speed to kind of get settled in, you know, they had a couple accidents over. Now everyone's starting to figure out where their car can and can't go on the racetrack here, especially in passing situations. As you see the 77, Kyle Shelton make his way on by temporarily around Jeff No. Big slide, though, to the inside. No's going to go right back on past him. And Shelton's going to have to try and regroup here. This is the battle for 12th on track.
And it looked like Shelton had it there until he got to the exit of turn 2. We've seen that 77 struggle with that corner every time that we've had the camera on him so far.
It's not the easiest corner to navigate, especially when you're not running the line you want. If you're in a passing situation, that wall just does not feel like it sits right, because even though with how wide this track is, everything pushes right up to that outside wall, as you can see there.
Yeah, and for this Gen 4 car, you're almost steering to the opposite direction to keep it straight when you hit these exits. We've seen at tracks like Vegas where they were almost clocked 20, 30 degrees in the opposite direction just to come out of the corner. Gabe Ellison got back around the 91 while we were watching that battle. And there's a lap down car here. The 11 of Thomas Stokes. It's going to let Josh Taylor and Stephen Miles go by. Taylor was trying to complete that pass just a moment ago, but now with this lap car, still able to navigate and get around for 4th.
Yeah, I thought that was going to hold up the 7 a little bit more than it did, but still on a mission here. Stephen Miles is going to fall back to 5th. As we're jumping on board here, Craig Martin, Jeff No. This is the battle for 11th. A good run for the 55, pulls him right alongside Martin's machine here. Diving into the inside is the 55, trying to take that spot away. You got Ruiz and Shelton looking on just behind him. Going to slide up, but will not be able to clear the 22. And side by side they go down the back straightaway.
22 got a little bit loose there, so Martin does let him by. Meanwhile, seeing another change from position. Michael Garone is going the wrong direction. He falls back to 8th, and Casey Carrington is now cracked into this top 10. He's picking them off one at a time. I don't think we saw the end. It looked like it could be a problem there for the 43 at the start of this thing, but now he's back up here working on 7th position, Atkins.
And we do know there was some drivers in the field during the restart who were clutching a little bit, maybe trying to stretch this thing to the stage. It is possible that the 43 wasn't showing his full hand in the early start of that restart to make sure he could get to whatever number he set for himself, and is now at that number and starting to turn the wick back on. As you see the 20 of Owens real loose to the corner, they're going to lose out to Sheldon Atkins, and here comes Casey Carrington right up to the back bumper as well.
So it's funny that you mentioned that, because the 43 has been stellar when it comes to playing strategy and maybe not having the fastest car every single lap, but this time by, he was 0.2 faster than Michael Sturgill. You gotta chalk that up to having 10 lap pressure tires right now on that 43 machine.
Yeah, starting to see the difference kick in for the 43. And with that stage just over 15 laps away, no better time for the 43 to start kicking it in gear than right now as he gets around the 20 of Owens and pulls up to the back bumper of Sheldon Atkins. And meanwhile, back up front, Michael Sturgill starting to have a little bit of company up there. Rosenberg and Taylor battling for third. Ellison not too far behind the leader either.
And so I can confirm it is the last lap here. Got confirmation of that from Clinton Sneed after last week. He reported to me pretty directly and in a timely fashion. As soon as the broadcast went live there, he went back and heard that. And so we do have that information now, and I apologize for not having that right last week. But all in all, we still, ended up with
caution out.
Does it have? Yes.
Oh.
I was looking here for the 22.
Looks like he might not be the only one.
'77 involved as well, I believe.
Would not be the first time Kyle Shelton has banged doors with another car tonight and just gets into the back bumper of the 22. Wow.
And so that's just a matter of different race lines, I think.
Yeah. You can see the 22 taking a bit more of a shallow entry, trying to get that run off. Meanwhile, the 77 was going to try and drive it in real deep and just got right to the back bumper. And, these cars, they're not as planted to the ground as, the next gens are. They're a little thinner wheelbase, a little easier to get knocked out of sorts, especially in the rear end, as that sloped front can kind of get under that back bumper and just kind of lift. And you see exactly here, just gets under and pushes up the 22 off the track, and that's all she wrote.
That does trigger everyone to come down pit road all at one time. The longest run that we've had all day, and problems for your leader. Michael Sturgill misses his pit box momentarily there. He stands to maybe lose a position at least out of this. That was at least a couple tenths that he had to back up. Looks like the 27's going to be down and away. 4 spots almost.
Going to be a photo finish off of pit road between him and Josh Taylor. But the other 3 cars for sure got on by. So Sturgill, after leading the opening 30 laps of this race, going to have some work to do getting through the field. Here's a replay of what happened on pit road.
And that's all it takes right there. That one little mistake can put him back in dirty air, keep him from running away and leading these laps, and it could get him into a situation where he might not be comfortable. Side by side on these cold tires is not a spot that I would want to be. It's much easier to do when you're up front, so. But that does hand over the lead to his teammate, who's right there to pick up the pieces after that mistake from Sturgill. Dylan Rosenberg back up to second. Sturgill lost 2 spots out of that. It could have been a lot worse, but I'm sure he's kicking himself over that.
Yeah, well, technically he lost 3 there. I believe Stephen Miles will be restarting inside of row 2, but still the lead within arm's reach for Sturgill for sure, especially because he's shown good pace and clean air. We have not seen what the 3 can do once he has to start fighting through traffic. Be an interesting time to see how that unfolds, and that caution comes at a prime time for really the whole field to come down, get some fuel, and they will be able to hit that stage with no concerns as far as making it fuel mileage wise. There will not be a caution for when they hit the stage at lap 55 or 45, apologies. They will continue running, but now with everyone just coming down for fuel there, I think they'll only need to stop one more time if this were to go green the rest of the way to make it to the end.
That's going to be a tight window there. They're shy of halfway, and so for the 1.5 mile racetracks, 45 laps was about the limit that you could go. And here tonight, we tack on an extra half mile to that. You want to do the math. 45 times 0.5. There's somebody out there is doing the math. extra 22 laps essentially on the stint.
Here we go.
Green flag is out, back underway. Good jump here for the 22 or 27. Rosenberg has company though to his inside right out of the gate. Looks like the 111 going to try to take it. He gets a little wiggle and gets up in front of Sturgill, and they're 3 wide behind him.
Look at this cluster. Miles nearly lost it off of 2, had to catch it.
4 wide.
Josh Taylor going to make it 4 wide down the back straightaway. They all blow past the 111. 3 wide still in the turn 3. Rosenberg has Sturgill to his inside, and then it's Sheldon Atkins with the host of cars behind him. Big slide for the 91.
He got loose there on the outside, and Sturgill ended up cutting across his nose, got it collected back. But these cold tires, we talked about it earlier, where you don't want to be and surrounded by everyone who came down pit road. It's going to take at least 5 to 6 laps before this thing calms down a little bit.
Atkins thought about making a move on Sturgill. Did not have the run he needed, though. Going to try and drive it hard off the corner. And Sturgill will hold on to second for now. Rosenberg, with that slide, fell back to 5th. Here comes Carrington shoving the 81 alongside Sturgill here for second.
We just sent Atkins into the entry of 1 with all that draft, and you saw it was almost like a rocket ship going by Sturgill.
He might use that momentum to get up to the leader here. That gap continues to shrink. It's now almost 1/10 of a second. Sheldon Atkins right on the back bumper of Gabe Ellison, knocking on the door of taking the race lead. What a run that lap for the 81.
See the draft pulling these cars around. Gabe Ellison not going to be able to escape. Sheldon Atkins to the outside here for the point.
Atkins in the 81, Ellison in the 27. Side by side down the back straightaway. Looks like the 81's got a nose on him, but not clear as they make their way to 3 and 4. Driving it in hard that time, though, is the 81. He's going to get him that time around. A new leader here at Michigan, Sheldon Atkins, started 5th. He's now up to the lead for the first time tonight.
How about that? We get another lead change, and resulting this top 2 didn't change hands after, staying out, didn't take tires, and now they come down pit road, they start losing spots. I don't know what's going on here, Alex.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting one. Since the restart, a lot of shuffling in the top 10. Ellison now back, Rosenberg back. Stephen Miles falls back to 10th. Meanwhile, you got Michael Garone, who's on the move here. He's up to 6th. As you see him work his way past Josh Taylor. It's been a huge shuffle in this top 10 just before the stage. And Sheldon Atkins now going to be in prime position potentially to get his first stage win of the year.
So we've seen the Lexus machines up front there, Gabe Ellison, Michael Sturgill, Clinton Sneed, but how about this? But you've never seen one of these before. A Lexus.
It's like the modern take on the Underbird. You start adding or subtracting letters wherever you deem fit. Tell you what, it's working for the 66 right now, though. Takes away that spot.
Yeah.
Sole control with 6th place, and he's going to be looking to the inside of Rosenberg here before long.
Oh, he's loose coming out of turn 2. We've seen that get quite a few guys upset. And fall back in line. It's about the time where the tires will kind of fall off and passing will be a little few and far between. You see it single file out from 3rd back to the, I believe that's the 8th position with Jordan Owens back there in the 20 car.
another driver making his SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series debut tonight. The 20 machine of Jordan Owens. Not a bad night so far. Qualified 10th up to 8th. Right in the mix here to snag a couple stage points in his first race here in the Challenge Series.
So most positions gained now officially go to the car we're riding off the back bumper with. Even though he fell back to 5th spot, he's still up 9. He has company though with Michael Garone, Daniel Giroux, his teammate back there. In 8th spot, I say back there, but up there now. We were just talking about Giroux back in 11th earlier. 11th, 12th spot. You know, the day was really quiet. Looks like something changed here on this racetrack. I don't know if the weather has changed. It looks pretty cool. I don't think we started any further than 76 degrees tonight, but whatever's changed out here, maybe a full moon. I don't know.
So this time by, it's only going to be a couple more laps to the scheduled stage, and now Sheldon Atkins once again has company up at the front of the field. That half-second lead has deteriorated as Gabe Ellison within a car length here to 1 and 2. Atkins going to take that high line. Looks like Ellison going to run a lane off the bottom and gets right to the back bumper off the corner.
Ellison's problem right now is that every exit that he takes, he's got dirty air. And I would bet to say that Sheldon Atkins is doing that on purpose. He's making sure that that 27 can't get the drive off and get a run. He's going to keep him back there. Atkins looking to get stage points. That's what he's here for.
Atkins looking for his first stage win of the season. Ellison looking for his second of the year. The 27 closing in here on the 81. Big slide for the 81. He's going to have to corral it, but it could open the door here in 3 and 4.
I'm really surprised it didn't open up the door. I think the 27 might have got a little loose on his own as well. Here through 3 and 4, it's going to be bumper to bumper. Pass possible for the lead here as the white flag comes out for the stage.
So it'll be for the end of the stage, or the end of this lap is the stage officially. There won't be a caution, but there will be quite the duel to get the stage win and the points associated with it here. Atkins up high, Ellison down low, door to door off the corner.
Down the backstretch, it's a drag race. He's got him by a nose right now. Can he hold on in 3? He's got the preferred line from earlier, but these tires, like I said, have worn out a little bit. Ellison's loose, he wiggles, and it looks like Sheldon Atkins is going to take it back over. Stage winner.
By maybe a nose. I don't even think he'd get to the base of his front tires before the nose of the 27 hit the line. So big stage win there for the 81 of Sheldon Atkins. For a driver coming into tonight 14th in the points, that'll go a huge way to help his season. So congrats to the 81, but obviously he cannot celebrate that right now as it's now a 3-car battle for the lead. Here comes Michael Sturgill into the mix.
Well, he just got a 2-for-1 out of turn 4. He's fighting on that outside, but what did I say earlier, Alex? That high line's fast, but you go 10 laps and it burns off that right front, and you find yourself falling and falling. I think he needs to change up this line, maybe mimic what Sturgill and Ellison are doing now at this point, or he's going to lose more spots.
Yeah, you see him tucked behind the 3 there in 1 and 2. That might be the strategy over the next couple of laps, just trying to get a feel for the racetrack again and trying to cool off that right front tire a little bit. Jumping on board with the pole sitter, Michael Sturgill. Led the opening 31 laps of this race, had the issue on pit road, and this is the closest he's been since getting back in the lead. He's got a run against his teammate Gabe Ellison going into turn 1.
The top 4 right on top of each other. Oh, Atkins makes a little mistake there. got to be frustrating. You brush the wall, now you give up another spot. You were leading at the stage. But congrats to Sheldon Atkins on getting that first stage win this season. We've seen Atkins up in the top 5 in a number of tracks, but doesn't always get the finish that reflects how he ran most of the day.
Meanwhile, up front, Sturgill has a nose to the inside of Ellison. The two Sim Racer Hub cars door to door for the lead here as they make their way into 3. Ellison pulling out just a hair, but Sturgill going to drive it really far into turns 3 and 4. Will he try to slide up in front of his teammate here for the lead?
So tough to do. He's going to take it to the bottom. It looks like he has the nose. That time by lap led to Michael Sturgill. He's going to try to hold on for one more entry into a corner. He's going to send it deep. 27 holds on though, and a little wiggly loose for the 3 car.
And not a great exit for the 3. Met that compromised line with the 27 to his outside. It lets Ellison get right alongside again. And the caution is out as these two are dueling for the lead. Trouble deeper in the field. It might be the 49 of Clinton Sneed, unless he was already damaged and really off the pace. But the timing tower said he was about 30 seconds off that lead group. But it may have been somebody else.
I think a car blew up here.
Would not be shocked if it's the 11. Oh. There's something with the 33 potentially. Cade Sullivan, a little loose. Can't imagine that brought out the yellow. He's nowhere near the racing line.
I think it did.
A little confused, I'll be honest with you.
I think the 33 of Sullivan triggered that yellow, and even though he was off the racing surface, I think that's the only thing that happened on the racetrack.
A rare non-racing line yellow flag thrown by iRacing tonight. And that is going to really change the complexion of this race, because now, do you have the ability to try and stretch it to the end if you pit now?
I think this window is tight, but I think it can be done. Why don't we, after these pit stops, why don't we pull Casey Carrington up here and ask him if it can be done? If there's anybody that would know.
No, it is the 43.
For sure.
Everyone diving into their box. This comes at a crucial time, I think, for specifically the 81 of Sheldon Atkins. His tires were certainly suffering there after the stage. I think this will be a really good opportunity for him to get right back into the mix.
Yeah, we'll still have about 40 laps left to do it, though.
Oh, a little 2-tire stop maybe for the 81.
11.4 in the box. Yes, that is confirmed on 2 tires for the 81 car.
Boy, he is really going for it tonight, eh?
Yeah. I don't know if I like this call. There's a lot of laps left. However, he could...
Clean air and track position goes a long way here. That's for sure.
Yeah, but this thing's already been really loose, and 2 tires can upset it even more. I don't know. That's why I sit up here in the booth.
Yeah.
I don't take those kinds of gambles. What I will gamble on, though, is we're going to take a quick commercial break here on V-Speed. Get some things squared away. You're watching the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series live on V-Speed. More coverage will continue the second half right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here live at Michigan, race number 7 for the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series. Sheldon Atkins on 2 tires, Gabe Ellison, Michael Sturgill, who have been up front for most of the day. Maybe an upset here for race number 7 as we get set to go back green.
We do know that this series has favored new winners so far. 5 winners through the opening 6 races of the season. Could Sheldon Atkins make it 6 in 7? He's put together a really good race so far, but here comes Sturgill to the inside. We'll see if those 2 tires are a backfire here into 3 and 4. Here comes the field, 3 wide for the lead.
Well, I just heard clutching on the 43 car in the entry of 3, so that tells me they cannot make it yet. Listen on board. Michael Sturgill takes over the lead, but listen to the 43 as he goes into 1. That confirms that they're not going to make it so far. Now, they can clutch, and here at this racetrack, it's big enough. It has sweeping corners. You can save for probably 2 to 3 tenths of a mile a lap here. And over the longevity of this run, that could add up to put them in the green. However, what's the correct time? You know, you got all this fuel saving that you have to do. When do you start racing flat out? When do you start pushing the issue? Draft will only get you so far, and if you start playing this fuel strategy, Alex, where you're on the clutch, you're losing ground, you maybe get yourself into a situation like right here with the 66 of Garone on the outside, you might end up losing more time because you find out, well, we're not going to make it, and you don't find out until there's 5 laps to go.
Yeah, but if there's one thing that we've learned so far this season, Bradley, is that if there's anyone who's going to be able to make this work, it's going to be the 43 of Casey Carrington. So certainly something to keep an eye on. Obviously, he is losing a lot of ground right now. So trying to toe the balance between keeping yourself in contention and making it on fuel is going to be critical. Curious to see if he'll have what it takes to make it to the end. We've got a new car challenging the leaders here. Michael Garone from 12th to 3rd, from where he started to where he is now. And he's going to have a run to the inside of Gabe Ellison here. He is going for it down the back straightaway, trying to take away spot number 2.
And you occasionally see the fire popping out, the flames shooting out the left side running board of these cars. And that tells me that probably Sturgill and Ellison are trying to save, but I think Michael Garone is just going for it. I don't think that he's on that save strategy. He just wants the track position. He wants to get up here and lead some laps. Hey,
and
if he can get up here and run away.
The other part of it is we've had a fair bit of cautions tonight. Maybe he's trying to gamble on the fact that there's going to be another one that'll get him out of the sitch if he does take the lead here but can't make his fuel number. I mean, it's not a bad bet to say that there could be another caution tonight. We've already seen about 4 or 5 of them in the opening 58 laps, so not surprised that Garone's going for it here.
You're right on board here with Michael Sturgill. He's running the bottom of the racetrack. The very bottom, that yellow line can save fuel as well. So this is another kind of strategy within the strategies to get as much as you can out of this run. Yeah, there's a chance. With the trend that we've had so far, race recap up on your screen, 4 cautions. Think back to the first 6 weeks of this season. We averaged 1.2 cautions. So I think right now the trend is there's going to be another yellow.
What we can say so far is Michigan is getting messy, that's for sure. Is Garone now maybe going to take a peek to the outside of Sturgill? Really wheeled it through the middle of the corner. Active on the wheel, little loose, but I think he's going to be able to take that lead away down the back straightaway. Here comes Michael Garone, and Gabe Ellison pulls right up to his back bumper. 3 cars battling for the lead. 30 laps to go here at Michigan next time by.
And way up high, almost 3 wide. The 66 is going to get a great run. We saw this earlier with Atkins, but keep in mind, Atkins took 2 tires to get back up here in the lead. Poor Atkins has kind of fallen out of the picture here.
Yeah, he's down to 13th. The 2-tire call got him track position temporarily, but very much short-term gain, long-term loss for the 81. He's fallen way out of the picture here. He's honestly lost this lead group. He's 3.5 seconds behind Casey Carrington in 12th. The 43 has also lost a ton of track position, but that's because he is on that crazy fuel save strategy. And he is now battling with the likes of Stephen Miles and Craig Martin.
So this is what I was talking about a moment ago, that if you save this much and you get this far behind, then you find out, well, we can't make it, or I'm going to be a couple laps short. Now the race is over. You could be in the same boat as Gabe Ellison, Michael Garone, and all these guys up here in the top 5 that maybe they can't make it either, but you keep falling back every lap. You're going to have to come down pit road 11 seconds behind.
So Sturgill and Taylor here battling for 3rd. Josh Taylor trying to hold on to the back bumper of the pole sitter as they make their way down the back straightaway. A little bit of a 4-car breakaway up at the front of the field. It's about a little over a half-second gap back to Dylan Rosenberg in 5th. As here comes Gabe Ellison looking to the inside of Garone, the 66. Little out of sorts off the corner. They'll be door-to-door down the back straightaway.
Very loose there for Michael Garone. Gabe Ellison takes back the point. That'll be another lead change here in the 63 laps that we've ran so far. I'd like to tell you that tonight's race is broadcasted live from many sponsors, but one in particular, Rapid Fired Pizza, who opened its doors in 2015 in Dayton, Ohio. This idea was simple: make the delicious, fast, and affordable pizza that's now in 25 cities across the country. Customers love the fresh taste, the speed, and the ability to create their own perfect pizza with over 35 different toppings and sauces. You can go to www.rapidfiredpizza.com for a location near you. Garone falls back to 3rd. Josh Taylor will be the next car. It looks like short-lived, and maybe we hit the green mark for the 27 and the 3. They've turned it up. Either that or they're just committed. We have to make one more stop. Might as well go.
Yeah, it seems like that at least when they were running for the lead, they were not too concerned with saving. I'm taking a look here right now on my end at Casey Carrington, who's still very much clutching on corner entry. So I don't know if they can necessarily make it. They might just be going to the end. I think the 43 might be the only one really trying to stretch this thing all the way out here, but he is 5 seconds south of the leader.
Yeah, every time you hit that clutch pedal, one, it's upsetting the entry to this corner. You see him snap back off that clutch, and this car wiggles a little bit. Every time that happens, you're going to have that smooth transition on and off that clutch, on and off that throttle. Very easy to lose control, and you got to be really conservative with the corners. Unfortunately for Casey Carrington, that means giving up 2-3 a lap to these lead cars.
Yeah, you could see that he was still trying to really save. Meanwhile, folks like Ellison and Sturgill, not so much. They're staying on the throttle throughout the corner here. No real clutching from either of them. So either they can make their fuel number, or the more likely option from where they're at, they are simply going to run this thing out and hope for a yellow, or try and open this thing up so much that by the time the 43 does save enough fuel, if he can, they'll have the opportunity to come down pit road, get fresh tires, and drive back to him.
Dylan Rosenberg, who maintains a top 5, now has company from Jordan Owens and Daniel Giroux. Gotta shout this guy out for turning his race around. You know, sometimes we do that curse of the commentator. Well, sometimes we call guys out and they turn up the heat. The 92, since we talked about him, he's gained 8 positions overall, up from 15th and climbing.
Yeah, it's been a really solid day so far for the 92. Slowly but surely working his way up through the field. Meanwhile, his teammate Dylan Rosenberg in a bit of a battle here with Owens. The 20 going to look to the inside of the 91 through 1 and 2. And they'll have a nose ahead just barely off the corner. However, not going to get the run he needs. Contact
he's loose.
Going to send the 20 down below the apron. And I have no doubt in my mind, Jordan Owens and Dylan Rosenberg both not too pleased with how that battle interacted.
Comes with the territory when you have 900 plus horsepower. Trying to connect this all on a flat asphalt used surface. The only, I guess, positive here that I could say is that it's not 120 degrees like we've seen here previously.
Yeah. Looks like Josh Taylor has come down pit road, the first car of this lead pack to do so. Was running inside the top 5 when he decided to make his way down, so he's going to get fueled up to make it to the end of this race. Looks like he's going to throw at least right sides on. We'll see if he throws on lefts as well. Would not be shocked if it's a 4-tire stop, though, because clearly the 2 tires with Sheldon Atkins was not the move.
Oh, and a speeding penalty for the 7.
Oh, man. Absolutely brutal for the 7.
He's going to go a lap down now. Racetrack plenty big enough that you can get on and off pit road. Oh, the 66.
Hard into the outside wall. Boy, he looked like a torpedo shooting up the track. I thought he must have had a flat or something with how quickly he launched up there. Holy cow.
I think we just got a bonus lap with Ross Chastain.
Yeah, you know, a little harder to ride the wall here at Michigan than it is Martinsville, but boy, I mean, that car just did not turn and got up into the fence in a hurry. I mean, that car was going over 180 miles an hour when it made contact with the outside wall. So unsurprisingly, the 66 going to bring it down pit road. Certainly some damage to repair on that machine. He was having a really good run to this point, but going to have some damage to buff out there. Is back up front, Ellison and Sturgill still battling for the lead here. It's gotten noticeably quieter at the front beyond these two, though. Second and a half back to Dylan Rosenberg in third. It is a 2-car battle for the lead as Sturgill nearly gets right to the back bumper of Ellison going in the 1.
So this confirms to me, having the 7 of Josh Taylor come down pit road, the 66 of Garone, who did hit the wall but did come in, I think, right around that scheduled time. We've split this run at about 20 laps, so I think that's the half and half mark for a lot of these guys. We're probably going to see the rest of the top 10 come down pit road here very soon. I think the only reason that Sturgill hasn't came down already is he wants to lead one more lap before he goes in.
Yeah, he's certainly trying to. Pitting from the lead's a little bit nicer than pitting from second. Gives you that track position you need. Sturgill trying to wrap the apron there in 1 and 2. Glides up in front of his teammate and will take the lead down the back straightaway here on lap 73. Not too much time left to make your move if you have not already come down pit road. And if you don't think you can make it, no better time than right about now to come down pit road.
Dave Ellison heard you. He's going to come in.
Sturgill staying out for one more lap. Here comes the 88 of Osborne as well. Haven't talked about him a ton tonight, but John Osborne going to be pitting for about the 7th position here.
I'm hearing cars clutching it out there still. I think there's more
Casey
than just
Carrington,
the 43.
big time clutching from the 43 right now. Still trying to make this thing work.
I think it's more than just him trying this strategy out. I think there's quite a few guys that are outside this top 5 that are going to try this. That's heavy saving there from the 43. I don't know how many laps he needs to get here, but when he started out this run, it was mainly just, you know, in the entry of 1, the entry of 3. He clutched all the way to almost the exit of turn 4 on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, this time around, clutch all the way to the middle of the corner before he decided to get back on the throttle. He is doing some aggressive fuel save here, which either means he did not save enough in that early bit, or now that everyone's coming down pit road, he realizes there's a chance of this strategy working and is going to go for it.
Well, if he has to do this all the way through as well, when he talked about how much time he's lost, he's 9 seconds back from Michael Sturgill. Sturgill could come in and get 4 fresh tires at the 43 for the next 15 laps or so. Is this much slower, Sturgill and Ellison and a few others on fresh tires could very easily chase him down.
Absolutely. And looking here, I'm also seeing Stephen Miles, the car behind Carrington, also clutching in the corners at this point. So, to your point, multiple cars trying to make this strategy work. Really interesting fuel situation with how this race is unfolded. You see the 111 nearly to about the middle of the corner before he gets back on the throttle there. A big bit of clutching from him.
And Sturgill continues to stay out, so this also throws up another question. Is he waiting on a caution?
He might be. His bed might be made at this point because he was running pretty hard in that opening bit. No signs of fuel save from the 3, and I don't think he could make it. So I think he might just be letting this thing run out and hoping for a yellow before it's done. Coming to the line here, be 13 laps to go. 26 miles to decide this one, although I do not think at least anyone in the top 5 could make it on fuel. Gets a little more questionable with the 43 and the 111. But the car to keep your eye on is the 27 of Gabe Ellison, who is really cutting down that deficit. I don't think he's going to have enough time to work his way all the way back to the front, but if the 43 and the 111 continue to stay off the pace on their fuel save, he might be able to get there in time.
Casey Carrington last time by a 40.7. Gabe Ellison, a 38.5. Wow. That's a 2-second difference. Over 2 seconds that he's shaving a lap. And, you know,
he's only 20 seconds back.
Yeah, 20 seconds. Yeah, I was trying to do that math. It changed a little bit there. I think we're having the issue we had the other day. Hopefully we're not.
Yeah, hopefully not. That was a nightmare a couple weeks ago when timing and scoring decided
it
to
happened
just go
to me
to sleep
Sunday.
for the night. Did it really?
Yeah. And, you know, the 400 lap race, it waited to do it with 50 to go. So I don't know what was going on with that.
Well, hopefully it holds out here for the remaining 11 laps. Sturgill continues to lead. No sign of fuel save from the 3. So he's just going to let this thing run out until the gas canister's empty, or if there's a yellow. Rosenberg, Owens, Giroux, and White, the top 5 as they run. A lot of these cars, though, not able to make it to the end, I don't believe.
It's going to be tight. Giroux, I think some of these guys started saving too late. I think they checked their black box a little too late, and now they're trying something. Maybe in the hopes that a yellow comes out, they'll be okay.
The leader coming down pit road with 10 to go. Looks like despite leading half the laps tonight from the pole, tonight might not be the night for Michael Sturgill.
But now this strategy, the 91 was clutching. Is he going to be able to make it? He almost gets out of shape there. Out of turn 2, almost lost it.
Yeah, the important thing about trying to clutch it to the end is you got to make sure you keep the car under you. Fuel save doesn't mean a lot if you end up in the outside wall.
Well, it's never good if we have a straight-on camera angle and we can read your sponsors all the way down the side of the car.
Yeah, probably not ideal.
Jordan Owens just behind Rosenberg, keeping him honest here on this run. But Casey Carrington, the car that's, I think, favored, if it's possible to do so. He's 9 seconds back from this top three. Curtis White, remember this car? Did a face plant in the inside wall down the backstretch. It's running third right now.
That it is. And honestly, from where he started in the second row today, so he's had speed. He just hasn't been able to show it a lot of the race after that incident. But now has put himself with about as good of a chance as anybody here in the closing couple laps if he's able to save enough fuel to make it to the end. I'm gonna jump on board with him. Is he doing any fuel save at this point? It doesn't seem like it.
Doesn't sound like he's doing anything, but he might have been saving earlier and good to go. I really got to question this fuel strategy from all these drivers. This is one of those, you're praying for a yellow if you can't make it. 3 wide back here.
Look at that. Giroux, Owens, Sneed trying to sort this out. Giroux and Owens. That is, I was going to say that was a battle for position, but I forgot the 9-2 actually came down pit road. He's trying to get back on the lead lap here. Trying to get around the 20 and 77.
Just go. Get out of my way, he said.
There's nowhere to go. Craig Martin also a lap down, trying to get back on the lead lap here after getting both of them trying to make some headway. Keeping an eye on that ticker, Gabe Ellison within about 11 seconds of Casey Carrington now. The pace is slowed down just a hair to the 43 in his rate of progress.
But White came down.
Yeah, he did. The 63 bailing out of that strategy late. Now it's just Rosenberg and Owens ahead of the 43.
11
Ellison
seconds.
within 10 seconds.
Yeah, Ellison's on the move. Virgil following right behind him within about 5-second gap. Virgil just stayed out too long. I think he stayed out longer, and that's going to end up hurting him here. I don't think he has enough time to catch his teammate, and so, yeah, I think he was in one of those I'm praying for a caution moments. Didn't happen. Rosenberg down pit road.
And is Owens. So the 43 is going to inherit the lead here. About a second and a half clear of Stephen Miles. Gabe Ellison's going to shuffle up to third place now, and he is within 8 seconds with 5 to go. He is making a lot of headway, but does he have enough time, and does Carrington have enough fuel?
Last time around. About 1.5 seconds. The difference in lap times. And you're seeing here with Stephen Miles in the 111, he is coasting all the way down the backstretch. He's really on the bubble here.
Carrington has been pretty consistent on the fuel strategy here. He has been clutching until about the middle of the corner, then gets back on the throttle. Will it be enough? 4 laps to go. The gap now 7 seconds. Another second and a half clipped away by the 27 of Ellison. At this rate, he won't catch him in time. But does the 43 have enough fuel, or does he need to save even more? Big time clutch from the 43 again in the 3 and 4.
I think this would be the only saving grace. Casey Carrington and Stephen Miles need to run out of fuel for Gabe Ellison to win this race.
I think you're right. Another 1.5 seconds ticked away from Ellison, but with 3 laps to go, if he keeps this up, he'll be about a second short of the 43. Stephen Miles also within the picture here, 1.3 seconds. We haven't talked about him a ton because he's on the same strategy as Ellison or as Carrington. But if something happens to the 43 and the 111 has saved enough, he would be able to cycle to the front.
2 to go.
It's like pins and needles out here. Everyone just waiting to see if they can stretch it to the end. The tension high out here, knowing that at a moment's notice, someone might be running out of fuel.
I think Casey Carrington just did it again. I think he just came out here and pulled a strategy and outwitted these guys.
And this is one that would have been developed on the fly, because with the cautions today, this was not one you could have projected from green flag to checkered flag. This was one that fell into his lap, and he took advantage of it if he can make it happen through 3 and 4 for the penultimate time.
2.5 there on your relative for Ellison. White flag in the air. Here comes the 27. 1.8 all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. It's shaving down more and more. But I think he's got it.
Clutch from Carrington. The gap continues to shrink. I think the 27, though, is just going to be a little bit out of time.
Oh, the 43 is out of fuel.
Will he get there? No! Ellison!
Gabe Ellison in the final 1,000 feet out of turn 4 is going to get the victory. Casey Carrington is just half a mile short.
What a valiant effort from him and Stephen Miles. Man, came up a fraction of a lap short. This is a 2-mile track. He probably got 9/10 of the way there on that final lap before he ran out of fuel. I mean, he was off of 4 before that thing started shifting around, trying to find any last bit of fuel. And boy, did Gabe Ellison, I guess, time that perfectly. Or what? What a run in the final 25 laps for the 27. I'm truly in disbelief up here, Bradley. I'm floored that Carrington got that close and came up just a fraction of a lap short.
This is the lap prior.
Lap. Gabe Ellison at the line was 2.5 seconds behind Casey Carrington in this moment. It was a full corner away. And right here is where we thought he was gonna make it. And then you see him shifting around trying to find any last bit of fuel in the car. And there just was none. And like a missile, the 27 roars on past at the line. Wow.
I mean, they're in the restart zone. This is the final 1,000 feet of the racetrack.
You know, if they had off-centered the start-finish line here like they do at Richmond and kick it a little bit closer to the turn 4, I think Carrington would have been named the winner. What a drive from Gabe Wilson.
What a finish here in the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series. Since 2009, SimRacerHub.com has been the premier destination for iRacing League scoring. Our mission is to provide you with the most comprehensive and user-friendly tools to manage your league and schedules, results, points, and stats. Plus, our highly active Discord community is always ready to assist you with any questions or issues. Are you ready to take the plunge? Create a league today and join our community of passionate sim racers. Find out more at SimRacerHub.com. We're going to find out more about this finish here just momentarily here on V-Speed. More coverage is going to continue right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here live from Michigan in a fuel strategy race that went wrong for Casey Carrington. Gabe Ellison passes for the lead out of turn 4. The final 1,000 feet, he becomes victorious again here. Let's get those results up on the screen. How about that? 14 lead changes and 4 cautions here today. It was a rocky start here from the Great Lakes region, but like I said, that finish coming out of turn 4 made it all worthwhile. Rounding out your top 3, Stephen Miles in the 111, his debut here in the Challenge Series. Michael Sturgill, your pole sitter, is going to end up with a top 5. Not exactly how he wanted the stay to go. Might have stayed out a little bit too long there on that final stint. John Osborne with a top 5. He'll finish 5th. Sheldon Atkins, 6th position. Impressive there. Even on 2 tires and all the strategy he tried to pull, he rounds himself back into the top 10. Josh Taylor, 7th here. Michael Garone in 8th. Jordan Owens, another debut. He'll finish in 9th. Dylan Rosenberg, unfortunately, top 5 for 90% of the day. He's going to have to settle for 10th.
Back in 11th, it's the 55 of Jeff No, just ahead of Curtis White, who had that heavy impact earlier in the race. Craig Martin finishes 13th today, just ahead of Daniel Giroux. The strategy did not work out in the 92's favor when it was all said and done. Jose Ruiz, the last car on the lead lap, in 15th. Kyle Shelton, 16th. Clinton Sneed, 17th. And, 18th, 19th, 20th, Waddle, Stokes, Sullivan, Tim Bruce, your last car in the field today.
And Bruce had heavy damage, and that concludes our 90 laps here tonight. But down in victory lane, Alex Gagnon has caught up with your surprise race winner, Gabe Ellison.
Gabe, congrats on the win. Boy, that one came down to the last possible moment that you could have claimed the checkered flag. Talk to us on that last stage, you pitting, trying to chase down on a whole nother pit stop there, trying to chase down the 43.
Yeah, that I was on the edge of my seat for sure. I mean, I did some math, as we started that last run, and I figured that I had to save, 4 laps to make it. And I did not think, I was like, surely there's no way that anyone would even try that. Sure enough, a couple of them did, and they made it work. So, I was just getting everything I could. I went in I did a full 4-tire stop, which I actually think probably was a mistake. Probably should have just took rights. But yeah, I mean, I was hoping and praying that Casey was going to run out as I came out of 4, and thank God he did. Huge props to them though. That took balls to try to stretch it that much. I mean, that almost worked.
Yeah, if this racetrack was any bit shorter, I think it would have. But this 2-miler worked out just in your favor tonight, winning by less than a second after having to make up a whole nother lap against the 43. Going into that final lap, you were still 2.5 seconds adrift of the lead. Did you think in that moment you were going to be able to track him down, or at that point were you thinking you're going to have to settle for second?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that it was in his hands because, or his fuel tank's hands. I was getting about 1.5 seconds a lap on Steven and Casey, so I knew I was going to get at least P2. But I was just, it wasn't up to me at that point. It was, does he have the fuel or doesn't he? And out of four, luckily he didn't. I was fully expecting him to make it because he went. I mean, he went all the way out of four before he ran out, I think. So, um, a couple longer clutches here and there, and he would have made it. Um, so yeah, no, I mean, I'm just fortunate that it worked out the way it did.
Ultimately, things fell into your favor tonight, and obviously, still the only driver with multiple race wins this season, picking up your third of the year through 7 races. Got to imagine you're feeling pretty good, not only about being the only multi-time winner, but about the points benefits you'll reap because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the name of the game. Trying to rack up as many bonus points as possible for when we do the reset for the I think we're calling it the chase. So yeah, I'm just trying to get wins, the stage wins. I thought I was gonna get that stage win. That one snuck away from me a little bit. I couldn't quite get clear of Adkins, and he managed to snag that one from me. And I missed the pole by like 5,000, so that's another bonus point I didn't get. But you take the wins, and whatever we can get, we'll save it for later.
Absolutely. Well, Gabe, congrats on the win. Anyone you'd like to thank or shout out here tonight?
Yeah, as always, huge thanks to Clinton Sneed, Casey Carrington for putting leagues on, as well as all the other admins, and simracerhub.com and Team Lexus here. And then thanks to you guys in the broadcast booth for all y'all do.
Alrighty, well, Gabe, congrats on the win tonight. Win number 3 on the season, and looking forward to talking to you again up here real soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Victory lane there with Gabe Ellison. That moves us on down pit road with our second place finisher by just 1,000 feet. I keep saying it, 1,000 feet, 1,000 feet. I mean, you almost had to put your feet through the floorboard and pedal this thing across. It probably had you sweating the whole time, Casey.
No, I mean, I knew roughly where I was going to run out. It's just when I realized it was going to be that close, to winning the race, I just been sitting here in the broadcast or in the waiting room, just kind of playing through that entire run in my head, thinking, man, if I'd lifted a little earlier here and cut the engine off here and done, and let this guy go. And man, I didn't think it was going to be that close to beating him. I figured I was going to finish third or fourth. And oh, well, it was worth it. At least I made it exciting for the broadcast, I imagine.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we had a rocky start here, but you took full advantage of the pit stops and the strategies, even willing to put yourself outside the top 10 a couple times here today to play this game. And we've seen you work it once already this season with the 90 lap count in a mile and a half, but here tonight, it didn't seem like that opportunity was going to present itself until the cautions.
Yeah, I kind of went off strategy a little bit, pitting there on lap 12 or whatever that was on that one caution because I could tell early on I didn't have the pace to match the 27 and Michael, and I was like, yeah, instead of being frustrated all night trying to swim upstream, I'm just gonna pit here and try to get some stage points if it goes green. And that one caution there, I think it was I think the 33 or something was parked on the apron and right before the stage, and that kind of screwed me on that. So I'm like, well, all right. I'm gonna be one set of tires less than these guys. My only option is to try to save and not have to pit again. And yeah, I mean, I started out like 5 laps short. The next thing I know, I'm 4 laps short, and I'm 3 laps short, and I'm 3.5 laps short, and I'm three. It's just, I was, yeah. My only regret really is that I didn't come back in on one to green there on that last caution and top off. But I was still trying to think about track position and trying to be able to save a little bit in case we did get a caution that I wouldn't, it wouldn't all be for naught.
Well, I mean, that's the hindsight. It's always like that, right? You look back and reflect on these races, but you have plenty of documentation here on V Speed that you can go back and see this. It was an exciting finish overall.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't realize until about coming to the white flag that it was going to be as close for the win. I figured I was going to, I'd resign myself to second. And then I get going down the backstretch on the last lap, and I'm like, man, I'm going to run out off of four, just like I knew. But and then I wanted to go half throttle on the backstretch, but I was like, no, I need to get as much speed as I can. So when it does run out, I've got the momentum, and I mean, it's the thing too. Like Gabe, he drove such a great race that if he'd bobbled and gotten loose in even one more corner, he might not have been able to catch me. So it was just one of those things. And man, yeah, I wish I'd had a shot glass worth of extra fuel, but oh well, I'll take second place.
Casey, is there anybody that comes to mind, though, in the Pop Secret 43 getting this podium here tonight?
Man, I wasted a lot of fuel, wasted a lot of oxygen in my brain. I'm drawing a blank to what you're insinuating.
Anybody you'd like to shout out?
Oh yeah. I thought you were making like a reference to a race from like 20 years ago or something. No, I'd like to shout out Quentin for running the league. I'd like to shout out you guys for doing the broadcast. You guys do a great job. I'm sure you guys had fun there calling that at the end. Um, God, I'd like to shout out all the league sponsors. I don't have them in front of me right now. I'd like to shout out my team, CX2 Racing. I'd like to shout out everybody that raced tonight. And yeah, I hope everybody that watched the broadcast had as much fun there with the suspense towards the end as I did being a participant in it.
Casey Carrington keeping the top 10 streak alive. He'll get second here tonight. We look forward to Richmond next week with you.
Thank you. No fuel saving there.
We'll see. Second place, and that brings us to our third place driver. His debut, and I want to say Stephen Miles has to be pretty happy. I know that with your first outing here in the Challenge Series, did you expect it to be one of those where you're pushing the clutch pedal as much as you're pushing the throttle?
I'm pretty sure every Michigan race come down to field strategy. Actually, I won a race a couple weeks ago doing the same thing. So yeah, I mean, right there, the last caution, it was. I didn't think we was gonna be able to make it 5 or 6 laps. So I kind of ran it hard for the first, I don't know, 3 or 4 laps. I seen Casey drop back, and I was like, oh man, let me start recalculating in my head, and I started watching how the fuel drop, and I was like, oh well, we probably can. So I started probably like 2 or 3 laps later than him, and I knew I was gonna have to save way more than him.
We talk about the strategy and topping off with fuel, the cautions, the shakeups. You come out here in your first outing, you kind of prove to everybody that you're playing chess while they're playing checkers.
Yeah, had a good qualifying run, man, and these top 5, 6 guys was on rails. I know it was my first race, and I didn't want to come in and mess anybody night up or points day, anything. So sometimes I was pulling over, but that last run right there, I wanted to run with those guys up front, just my competitive nature, and just try to see if I had something for them. But then I started thinking about fuel, and I just made a decision to drop back and try to save as much as I can. And I'm pretty sure that probably gave me the best results right there with saving that fuel instead of just running where everybody else was running.
Well, Steven, it's your first time up here in the V-Speed booth. Is there anybody that supports you that you'd like to shout out while we have you up here?
Oh yeah, man. I just want to appreciate Sneed for letting me join tonight. I joined probably like 10 minutes before the session for qualifying, and I want to thank you guys, man. I've been watching y'all broadcast ever since Casey showed me, and y'all do an excellent job. Thank my mom, my dad. I know they're watching. Thank my girlfriend and Laser Racing, and most of all, God, man. That'll be it.
Stephen Miles, third place on the podium here in his first race in the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series. Thank you for your time, buddy.
Thank you.
And that brings us to our conclusion of this race. Like I made mention before, we still got a lot of racing left to do. Next week, it's on to Virginia for race number 8. It's going to start at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, September 24th. Make sure you're there. Mark it down on your calendar, as we'll only have 8 races left from here on out. It has been a good one. Any final thoughts before we let him go, Alex?
This was not the way I foresaw this race ending with the way it started. But boy, was that a dramatic ending to this race. And, you know, once again, SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series puts on quite the show, and, you know, makes me only that much more excited for Richmond next week with the way these first 7 races have gone.
Be sure to tune in, like I said, at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And tomorrow we'll have more racing through the week as we'll go Racing Revolution at Watkins Glen. And then it's on Thursday night for QSR Chase for the Cup, also at a road course. You can catch those races at 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. all in the evening. But for everybody here at V-Speed that made this possible, Adam Baker, who does all the things in the background, Clinton Sneed, and the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series, this is Bradley Cooper on behalf of Alex Gagnon telling you to have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.